Well, I sure as heck hadn't planned on a dang book review being such an emotional video. Yet, here we are, I suppose. Y'all, sit down. This is gonna take a minute. So, I figure it's about time I start reviewing some sources making their rounds, claiming to tell y'all all about Appalachia and our folk magic ways. I say claiming because a lot of these authors ain't ever stepped foot in a holler, nor snapped beans with Granny on the porch. They know about as much about Appalachia as I do about dealing with traffic in LA, which would be none. Now, there ain't likely to ever be a source that I'm gonna agree with 100%. This ain't gonna be the first either. I've got a couple things to go over that Mr. Richards talks about in this book that I don't quite see eye to eye with him on. We'll go over the good bits first, which, surprisingly, was more than I expected. Then I'll break down my issues with those couple of things. Alright, good stuff first. I had no idea this was going to be such an emotional ride for me. I mean, who'd think a book called Backwoods Witchcraft would have anything in it that would cause something like that from reading it? It brought up memories of my grandma's trips up to the mountain to visit great-grandmas, watching them can up the harvest from their gardens, sitting on porches with sweet tea, snapping beans, talking about the goings-on in the community, and random little, "Now, honey, here's what you need to do for that," bits of advice. I'm not going to read off bits from the book. Honestly, taking any of it out of context from the whole just won't get things across quite right for this one. What I will say is that if you want a peek at how things are done up on the mountain, this is a good book for that. There's lore left over from the Cherokee, from the Irish and Scottish, and our own special kind of Appalachia lore in here. He covers what Christianity is like up here, which, y'all, it's a whole nother kind. He also covers what it's like to live up here, which ain't easy, even nowadays. I honestly think, which or not, if you want to get an idea about what we do, how we think, and how we live, this book gives a dang good look at all that. Shoot, the book was published in 2019, before COVID, before the protests, and he includes a working on how to keep the law away. Alright, that's enough gushing. Time to cover the few bits that I'm not sure I quite see eye to eye on, or that I just need to up and say, I ain't got the knowledge to counter if it's needed. At one point in the book, where he's covering what some call spirit work, he mentions a bit about his struggle with self-harm. Now, if you ain't from here, the way he writes about it can read as if he's saying not to go see a doc about it. Maybe he felt he'd given enough context about how life is up here before this point in the book. I don't know. I do feel like I need to say you'll have to keep in mind that affording insurance or affording to see more than just the local family doc is an exception up here. Most of us are poor. We get by best we can, but it ain't likely many of us can drive to the next town over or to the city that's knocking on an hour away just to talk to somebody about our brains acting up. Because of that, a lot of us have our own ways of dealing with these things best we can. I do wish he'd included something along the lines of, if you have the means, go see a doc. But if he's going to stay in keeping with what he's writing about, I can see why he didn't. The other thing I need to cover is, I don't have the knowledge of Cherokee practices and beliefs to counter or confirm the many times he discusses this in the book. So, if anyone out there has read this book and does have that knowledge, drop comments down below or email me. I ain't got no issue doing up another vid if I need to, correcting myself or takes in the book. Now, I know, first vid back after being MIA for a bit, and it's sort of a short one. Sorry about that, but there really ain't much else I can say here. I'd recommend this book if you're interested in Appalachia and our views. Just bear in mind, there are things in here I can't really tell y'all if he got right or not. And that brings us to the awkward part of the video, where I gotta say, hit that like button, subscribe if you ain't yet and you find my stuff interesting, and knock that bell some sense. Also, I got a Patreon now, so look for that link down below. Thank y'all for watching, and as always, help or get out of the way. Thanks to my patrons for helping me get this content out to y'all.